Come on in the room. Come on in the room. The Bucks win it on the road tonight, holding the Philadelphia 76ers under 100 points. Come on in the room. 119-98. The Milwaukee Bucks improved to 5-7 under Doc Rivers. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. He writes out all our scriptures. He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live. It's the Cream City crossover. The Guru, Trey Crosby III.
Chris King.
No John Tyus. I think he's in Milwaukee at the Marquette game, cheering on the Marquette Golden Eagles tonight. But the Milwaukee Bucks, we're gonna do this thing. Me and Chris, 119 and 98. The Bucks beat the Philadelphia 76ers. You can get at us on Twitter at TCIIIESQ. Also in the YouTube chat. Run it up. A lot of positivity already being talked about the Milwaukee Bucks doing what they do. They are now, I believe, just a half a game out of second place. More and more we watch this basketball team, the more and more I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks are going to grab that second seed over Cleveland. Cleveland Cavaliers have lost their last two. I know they won like 16-17 or 16-18, whatever it was, before the All-Star break, but maybe they're going to fall back down to earth. And the Milwaukee Bucks are beginning their ascent into as we get ready for playoffs. 24 games left after tonight. 119-98. Tell us how you're feeling after the Bucks beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And let's do it. Let's do a game recap for this one. As always, sponsored by the law offices of Daily M. Johnson. When you need defense, where?
Off the court.
Oh, there you go. Off the court. Absolutely. Off the court. The Bucks have some defense on the court tonight as well. They're holding Philadelphia under 100 points, but the law of Daily M. Johnson, when you need criminal defense, OWI defense, traffic defense, temporary restraining orders, and injunctions, call him. 608-893-8370. The law offices of Daily M. Johnson at 411 West Main Street, Suite 110 in Madison, Wisconsin, serving Central and South Central Wisconsin. And of course, you can always get at him on his website, www.dmjlaw.com. Bucks win it 119-98. Giannis almost messed around and got a triple-double, 30, 12, and 9. Start off first half, Giannis actually only had 7 points in the first half. I believe that's correct. He had 23 in the second. And the crazy thing is, on 10 of 17 shooting, Giannis is actually under his field goal percentage tonight. He's on track to be one of the only players in NBA history. Well, not just one of the only player in NBA history scoring 30 a night on 60% shooting. But tonight, only 58.8%, so down night for him, 1 for 2 from 3. But he was 9 of 12 from the free throw line. Really good job. Did have 6 turnovers. Thought he was trying to assist Hunt at the end there and caused a couple other turnovers. And, of course, Bobby Portis blew a layup for him and didn't allow him to get the triple-double. But a great game from Giannis, no doubt. Damian Lillard, 24, 9, and 7. Remember, he almost had a triple-double last game as well. But Dame Lillard, I think he had 18 in the first half. And we'll get into it, but I thought it was a masterful game from Damian Lillard. We'll get into what he did as well. But again, 24, 9, and 7, 2 steals to go in with that. He was 8 of 15 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. I mean, listen, he does have 5 turnovers, but he's a plus 37 on night. Brook Lopez, 11.7 boards, 3 assists. And how many blocks? 5 blocks tonight from Brook Lopez. So he got it done. Jay Crowder didn't score, but did have 8 rebounds and 3 assists. Malik Beasley, 20 points on 9 shots, 6 of 7 from 3, 7 of 9 from the field. Again, when Beasley's shooting at this level, the Bucks just a hard team to beat. So you have 3 of your starters, not only just 3 of your starters, you have 4 starters in double digits. But not only that, 3 of them over 20 points. Then you go to the bench, and you have a Bobby Portis, who only plays 18 minutes tonight, but 17 points, 5 rebounds. He's in double digits, 7 of 11 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. That's what you want to see from Bobby Portis. I thought Pat Connaughton had an okay night, 7 points, 5 boards, good night for him. He had 2 blocks, including 1 flyby block. Danilo Gallinari, listen, I mean, it's been 2 games, but I still don't know what he's doing out there. He did have a nice assist. I don't know exactly what he's doing out there right now, but they're trying to work him into it. Pat Beverly, 3 points, had a nice steal. Looked down, I think it was Kyle Lowry after he got the steal. And A.J. Green got in the game and put up a 3 as well. On the other side of Philadelphia 76ers, they tried. They had a run in them in the third quarter. where it really had a run in them beginning of the second quarter, and they had a run in them in the end of the third quarter. That was really it. The Bucks kind of held Philly at bay for the rest of that game. 24-7 from Maxey, 11 points from Buddy Hield. He took 13 shots to get it. Paul Reed actually played really, really well, but he just racked up the fouls. 13 points, 8 boards. Tobias Harris, 8 points, 8 boards. Kelly Oubre Jr., 12 points, 9 boards. He had a tough time trying to finish over Brook Lopez. And then one of the guys in DeAnthony Melton with 16 points. Another guy who had a huge run there late in the third quarter to bring Philly, I think they got within 11. Maybe they got to 10, something like that. But Milwaukee was able to continue pulling away. And so, again, just my initial thoughts after 119-98 victory, the energy and effort level was high from the Bucks. And that's just seeing from this Doc Rivers team from the moment this thing tipped off. And one of the problems I've seen from the Bucks throughout is sometimes when they get pressured, and when teams are kind of play them hard, they kind of fall back. And they don't have that dog in them. They hadn't had it since, like you said, talk about what PJ Tucker kind of brought that out of them. And tonight, they were the aggressors early. And that's what I like to see. If the ref, because you can't wait to figure out how the refs are going to call it. Whether they're going to call fouls, whether they're not going to call fouls, whether it's going to be a loose game, tight game, you can't wait. And the Milwaukee Bucks started off, if you're the aggressor, you're gonna benefit from referees who let a lot of contact go. So I thought at the beginning of the game, the refs did let a lot of contact go. Giannis missed a couple of layups. I remember Jay Crowder missed a layup, but they were letting guys play. But if you're out there being the aggressors, which the Bucks were, you benefit, and that's what happened early. And Philly got down big. Again, also big shout out, big kudos to Damian Lillard. Again, Dame was. I thought his game tonight. The one word, if I were to use the word, masterful. It was masterful from Damian Lillard with 24, 9, and 7. And in the first half, like I said, I think he had 18. But Nick Nurse changed up the way he defended Damian Lillard. They picked him up much higher in the second half and really focused on him. They had Nick Batum. Maybe I'm missing something, and excuse me for not knowing how great a guy Nick Batum is. I didn't understand why he'd start off on Damian Lillard. I didn't get that. I get Max is not some great defender, but Nick Batum, that's food. That's food. Mm-hmm. And so Damian Lillard saw him as food and cooked him, sauteed him, of course, and that was good for him. And then the second half, they changed things up. Kelly Oubre had him some, and they really tried to defend him a little bit higher, use a little small ball action to try and stop the Bucks. And what did Damian Lillard do? He responded, not by trying to, hey, I got 18 points. I want to finish with 40. No. If they're going to play me like this, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to get to my spots. I'm going to get the guys the ball in where they need it. And if you're going to play me very hard, now Giannis, who was unselfish in the first half and only had 7 points, I think on 5 shots or whatever it was. Well, now Giannis is going to be the beneficiary of that. And he's going to give you 30 and 12 and 9 now. And so, again, both of those guys played well off of each other. You started to see some two-man game from Dame and Giannis. Again, just a brilliant game from top to bottom, defensively and offensively. I know a lot of people complain about Jay Crowder, but I thought Jay Crowder, even Jay Crowder, I thought did a really good job just being active. And just everybody was active. Damian Lillard was active on both ends. So, again, I thought everybody played a very active game, engaged on both offense and defense. This is what we want to see from the Milwaukee Bucks. 119-98 over the Philadelphia 76ers. Chris, what'd you see?
It was active, and it was active for 48 minutes. They put a full game together, and that's what I love to see. And I think one of the bigger takeaways from this victory is that is what we want the Bucks to look like in the playoffs. That looked like a team who could go deep. That looked like a team who can really cause other opposing teams fits in the playoffs. Like, the effort was there, the energy. Like you said, they were just active. From top to bottom, it was great. I really don't have any complaints about anybody that played tonight. I would say that Dame looked very comfortable out there. I felt like he was able to get to his spots a little easier today for whatever reason, and he looked aggressive in doing so. Malik Beasley putting up 20 on 9 shots, like that was really good. I think his defense could have been a little bit better on Maxey at some points, like reaching, and he had some defensive lapses. But when he's giving you that high volume and efficiency and scoring, you're going to win a lot of games. Danilo Gallinari, I think he might just be getting into the fold of things, and I think he passed up some open shots that maybe he just is not ready for yet. I mean, he's just probably a little rusty. So I'm still holding out on him. Bobby Portis, like we always talk about, he's great when he lets the game come to him. I thought he stepped into a couple shots that he needed to take, and he knocked them down. He was great tonight. Energy was good from him. And then, obviously, Giannis gives you what he gives you. Brook was good. All around, I was very impressed with this win, and it gives me a lot of optimism that this is what this team can look like going forward.
No, absolutely, and you should be optimistic. I think we all are very optimistic about what we see from the Bucks in the last two games. Really, these have been big moments, and yeah, I just love the energy and the excitement. These guys, they look ready post All-Star break. Chris, you mentioned it, a team that looks like they're ready to go into the playoffs because, and we knew even under Adrian Griffin, right, that even under Dr. Griffin, we knew the defense was going to have to pick up. Like at some point. The defense, you can't play like that against great basketball teams. And I think the hope was, okay, at some point throughout the year, they'll find that. With Doc Rivers, I mean, again, I think 3 times, and I think they said they have held teams under opponents. Like I said, Doc's Avalon, Doc's like last 3 times or something like that already, where they had done it just once in the previous 43 games where Adrian Griffin was under control. So you can see that the effort levels picked up on defense. You can see that they are more connected. They just look better and more in tune and more in sync on the defensive end. So again, you give credit to Doc Rivers for making that happen, and credit to the players for accepting that challenge and looking like a team that's ready to play. Because, and we talked about this after their last game, big win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You can't then come into Philly without Joel Embiid and lay an egg, and they certainly did not, winning 119-98 over the 76ers. Titonia World says, man, what's changed? These are brand new Bucks. I'll tell you what's changed. I just think it's the effort. Like that, to me, that's the biggest thing that's changed about this basketball team. It's not like Doc Rivers has come in and just revamped everything this basketball team has done. There've been some tweaks, obviously, on defense. You've seen some things that have changed. They're not hugging those three-point shooters as tight. We talked about that, I think, but really to me, it's the energy. It's an energy thing where you're coming in at look how much more engaged Damian Lillard just looks. And I don't know why. I can't explain why, but maybe that's just the presence of Doc Rivers, but he was not this active and engaged. Watch him play defense. This isn't about a scheme thing. This is one-on-one. I'm going to chase my guy, and I'm going to make it tough. Like there was one where he had a deflection in the first quarter, where again Bucks didn't even get the ball, but it's just I'm not allowing you to get easy layups. There was one play. I'll give you another example. In the first quarter, where Maxey was driving to the basket, and Damian Lillard was stepping in. And I can tell you, anytime if you wanted to give me a random game from the first 40 games of the year, Damian Lillard either would have been late on the rotation, or he'd have rotated and gave you a half effort, maybe thrown an arm up and got out the way, and Maxey would have had an easy layup, uncontested. Damian Lillard jumped up. He committed a foul, but it's just the presence of I'm going to be there. You're not coming in the lane getting a free layup over just because I'm the one that's in the rotation. I'm going to jump with you. You're not getting a layup. You're going to have to go hit 2 free throws. I'm just that alone, just when you're there and you're making plays and you're that connected. And again, maybe the communication is picked up. Maybe it's better under Doc Rivers. I can't explain it, but it's an energy and it's a connectedness this basketball team has that they did not have in the first 43 or so games. Terrence Hughes says, I knew we were going to win the game when Pat blocked that shot. 608 UW says, come on in. Yeah, come on in the room. Let's see. Alfred, I want to mention this. Alfred Gamino says, now the Bucks got the Hornets on a back-to-back. Let's go. And Robert Henry asked, am I going to the game Thursday? I am. I'm telling you now, this Hornets team has been much better since they made the trade. So you cannot sleep. And it's the same thing. 25 games ago, the Bucks cannot sleep. Like, this is your time. Make your move right here and show everybody, like you said, Chris, that they're ready to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I also think that just to your point about the defense as well, like they're making teams work for buckets now. It wasn't that under AG or in the past couple of games versus the Grizzlies, and when you drop those 2 in a row, and there's not as many defensive lapses. I think that they're getting rotations right. They're making sure that when you cut off that straight line drive, then you have an answer for the kickouts. And so I love to see it. And then, yeah, the Hornets, they've shown that they can hang with some teams. They've got some good pieces. Brandon Miller is playing at a really high level. But the good thing going for the Bucks is that now you not only do you have the momentum, it's also the fact that you've also beat them multiple times already this season. So I think that that'll go a long way in playing the Hornets. So, yeah, they just got to keep it up. They've got to keep that energy level up no matter who it is. And this could be a big streak, and we'll be happy to continue giving you guys post games, winning post games. And I like it that way.
Winning post games, right? Where everybody's excited, everybody's happy, nobody's upset about the results. My dad hopping in the chat. He says, what's up, Sharp? He says, is the Tuesday game or the Thursday game the trap game? Talking about the Hornets. Look at the Bucks are so excited. We beat. That's what I like to see. You beat the 76ers, and it's like we're gonna throw them to the curb already because we're moving forward in this thing. So is the Tuesday game or a Thursday game the trap game? It depends. I think it can be Tuesday, but it can be Thursday. Because if you go out and lose to Charlotte on Tuesday, we're gonna say it was a trap game. That's a tough game to get to, and so you should be ready for Thursday. If you go out and handle business on Tuesday, if you go out and handle, what was I gonna say? Yeah, if you lose on Tuesday, you should be ready for Thursday. Mm-hmm. But if you win on Tuesday, then Thursday you could be like, we just beat these guys by 30, 40 points, and you might slip up. So I think it depends. What do you think on Tuesday, Thursday? Which game against the Hornets is the trap game?
I don't think there is a trap game. There shouldn't be. Look, this is a team that they've already beat, like I said, and this is a team that is on a 2-game win streak now, and they know, like we talked about it, the season started now. So, I think that as a mature basketball team with guys who are veterans, guys who know that they need to continue this momentum, I think that neither of them will be a trap game. Hopefully. That's hopefully.
Throughout the game, Chris, I thought that the Bucks were just in great shape. Like I said, talk about it being a total and complete win. Colin Racine says the Bucks look like they're getting things right. Celtics looks like they have been right for a while. Right, exactly. Looks like, that this is what you expect to see, handling business against teams that you want to handle business for. But one of the things that I looked at, and I felt like the Bucks are going to be okay, and I think Philly is very fortunate to have only lost by 22 points because, and I only say that because it was just a flurry of threes from DeAnthony Melton, and I think maybe Buddy Hield hit one or something. But the Bucks, they were just so connected. They were in the right spots. They felt good, and that's just what you want to see. Let's get to a comment here from Rated R Noob 414. Just really impressed with the defense from everyone today. Patty C and the mayor had a great game. We're slowly figuring this thing out. Let's see the same effort against Charlotte. And I'll stop there for a second because I do want to talk for just a minute about the bench. And we talked about how poorly the bench has played and what the plus-minus numbers would look like. And so tonight's plus-minus, Damian Lillard was a team high plus 37. Beasley was plus 24. Brook Lopez was plus 33. Giannis was plus 14. Jay Crowder was a plus 17. Okay. But we had a bench player. Pat Connaughton was a plus 8. Bobby Portis and this is how these games would get out of control for us and why they would be close and why you'd have trouble and why the Bucks would sometimes struggle. Because what you see is all these pluses on the starter side, and you'd see like everybody from the Bucks would be like negative double digits on the bench. So you got a plus 8 from Pat Connaughton, and you got Bobby Portis was a minus 3 tonight, which is when everybody else, when Damian Lillard's plus 37, if Bobby Portis is a minus 3, you're fine right there, right? And Pat Beverly was a minus 15. I think he was in during that run with Giannis that Philly might have had there late in the third quarter. But those are the things, and those are the plays and the players who have to get it done. And again, you don't have to necessarily win everything, but you have to at least hold pace. Nope, the starters will get everything done for you, but you've got to hold pace, and the Bucks absolutely did that. They won every quarter but the third. They lost the third by 8 points. They got it right back in the fourth quarter, winning that by 8.
Yeah, I think the bench was great tonight. Even Pat Bev as well. Like I said this, I think Pat squared was really good. Both Pats. But I thought Pat Bev, even though maybe that's a new nickname. You like it? Okay. There you go. This is my first time introducing that, so maybe we'll go with that.
That was good.
One of 5 from the field, but I thought Pat Bev did a good job of setting the tone defensively when he comes in, and I think that's what he does a lot. But you could tell there was a free throw where I think it was like a hot mic, and he was like, all right, I got who's ever bringing it up. And like, I just love that mentality that he has to just try to stop ball. And I love it. I think Pat is what we needed on defense on the perimeter, and I think that he's been really good, even though he didn't shoot it well. I think just getting the ball to the guys who need it. He had a nice entry pass to Bobby Portis when he had a mismatch. Stuff like that goes a long way when you got a guy like that off the bench. And then everywhere else, like I said, Bobby Portis was very active tonight, very good on defense, very good on offense, let the game come to him. Only had a couple of shots that maybe were ill-advised, and he missed those, but he only missed 4. So, like, he was really good tonight. I just thought it was a really complete win.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. At James Ontario 12 says Pat Bev talking on defense, Bobby giving us a first half punch, Dame actually being Dame, Giannis not caring about stat pad, Pat C woke up, Jay Crowder deflections in defense, and Doc Rivers telling reporters he stopped letting Beasley dribble the ball up on offense and just shoot. I didn't know Doc Rivers said that, so it's interesting that's something Doc Rivers has emphasized. I want to get to that. So we have on our agenda here, All-Star Dame, and Charles Miller on the YouTube says, when Dame is on, everything flows in this team beautifully. If he plays like this, no reason we're not in this thing at the end of the year. We still get Chris back too. So let's stop there and let's talk about Damian Lillard. Dame, we've talked about on this show plenty of times where if he gets outscored by the opposing guard, or just how many times the Bucks will struggle, if he gets not outscored but just outplayed. We talk about this over and over again. And why did the Bucks struggle? And why did they didn't really lose a lot of games, but why were they having some problems and not looking, when you talk about the eye test, like the team you wanted to see? Because Damian Lillard would be outplayed by the opposing guard. And tonight, that changed. Especially that had changed the other night too. Well, he's late in the second half. But Dame puts up 24, 9, and 7. Tyrese Maxey puts up 24 and 7. Like, the Bucks were in games and playing well when Damian Lillard was being thoroughly outplayed by opposing guards. Now he plays, and to me, he played better than Tyrese Maxey. So it wasn't like, I know they scored the same amount. Let me see. Damian Lillard did it on 15 shots. So Dame's 24 was on 15 shots. Tyrese is on 19. And he was also 3 of 8 from 3. Dame was 4 of 8 from 3. But Dame just matching that level or being better takes his team to like we're talking about here, playoff ready and able to win and go deep into the playoffs and potentially win a championship. Like we've talked about this before. Everything, and Charles, I think you're right, everything depends on the play of Damian Lillard, or at least the Milwaukee Bucks championship hopes. Because I know, like, Giannis, 30, 12, and 9. Now, he won't always get 9 assists. This is a Giannis stat line. And again, you have people in the first half complaining about how Giannis played. That's what Giannis will always give you. What Giannis, like 30 and 10, you can just count on that from Giannis. What I need is the consistency from Damian Lillard. And if he's going to play like this, and not just offensively, but locked in on the defensive side of the ball as well, if this is the Damian Lillard we're going to get, and I think somebody said in the chat that Dame said he's going to pick it up in the second half of the season or post All-Star break. If this is the Damian Lillard that the Milwaukee Bucks are getting, this is the guy I signed up for. This is the guy I thought we traded for in the first place. This is a guy who can be an impact player and make the Milwaukee Bucks, as good as anybody. Like, that's an X factor. When you talk about the Boston Celtics as a team that the Milwaukee Bucks will need to beat if they want to win a championship and they want to get through the Eastern Conference, Damian Lillard's got to play like this. Because, I'd argue that top to bottom, Boston has a better record. A better team roster, just if you went top to bottom and name names. However, if you could tell me that Giannis is going to be the best player on the floor and Damian Lillard is going to be right there, right around Tatum, and you could almost, and again, maybe he's not a better player than Tatum, but if you could tell me that they're going to be kind of 2A, 2B as the second best players in the series, the Milwaukee Bucks have as good a shot at anybody beating the Boston Celtics and moving past and winning the finals.
It's the same situation with like a LeBron and Kyrie in 2016. Like, if you get that second guy going on a consistent basis, you can beat anybody. And I think you can go as far as you need this team to go. Damian Lillard has shown in these 2 games that he can really create offensively for this team. I mean, the assist numbers have been higher in these past 2 games, but I also think that he's very comfortable now. And if he continues to get comfortable and find his spots and come off those screens, ready to shoot, knock down the open ones, it's going to be scary for anybody. Now, we've had some rough stretches even in these past 2 games too. Like second half, he didn't really have it as much as he did in the first half. Last game, first half was bad. So if he can continue to at least just find that balance of having a high level of scoring, but also just impact the game in other ways, rebounding, assists, playing defense, then I think the rest will just continue to come. So I love what I'm seeing from Dame so far. And yeah, like Green Ranger said, he said he's going to get it going after All-Star break. We've seen it so far.
Colin Racing says it kind of sucks that basketball is so reliant on 1 or 2 people. Giannis can't win a chip by himself. We basically put all our eggs in Dame's basket. Yes and no, because again, I mean, I agree to an extent, but I mean that everybody has that same problem where, yeah, you're relying on 1 or 2 guys to be playing well to give yourself a shot. Like I'm looking at Phoenix right now, and if KD doesn't play, if KD and Devin Booker are off, or if one of those guys is not playing well, they're probably gonna be in trouble. Lakers the same thing. If LeBron or AD is not playing, they're not gonna have a chance to advance deep. But look at the roster the Bucks had in 2021 when they won a championship, and like again, it wasn't like Damian Lillard offensive level is better than, we know he's better than Chris Middleton and he's better than Drew Holiday, but the makeup of that team was different. Right? Like so much so that you needed Chris to hit timely buckets, but Chris wasn't like, and now Chris, did he have a 40-point finals game? Absolutely. And you relied on him to make some clutch and key shots, but Chris didn't have the ball 24/7. And Drew Holiday, we know the kind of struggles he had offensively throughout the playoffs. Now he made some timely baskets as well. This team makeup is just a little bit different. And especially now, again, the Bucks now are doing this shorthanded. Right, like there's no Chris Middleton, and there's a question to Tony World, if he's still in here, is probably one of the things he said on Twitter, was Matt, well, what is different about the Milwaukee Bucks right now and how Damian Lillard's playing? Well, there's no Chris Middleton, and I want to ask you that when we talk about Damian Lillard, Chris, and even if in the chat, what do you guys think? Because when Chris comes back, so Doc Rivers talked about Beasley not bringing the ball up, right? And to his credit, tonight at the very least, that was like when you have these Dame stands that have talked about Dame Lillard doesn't have the ball all the time. He's got to have the ball. Damian Lillard controlled the entire pace of the basketball game. Like Damian Lillard, I couldn't tell you how many times Giannis brought. Now there were a few times Giannis brought the ball up, but when Dame was in the game, he almost exclusively brought the ball up. Exclusively had the ball in his hands and kind of dictated everything that happened within the floor of the offense. When Chris Middleton comes back, are the Bucks going to put Chris Middleton in that same type of role where, hey, Chris, will you be able to create a little bit? Yes, but you're going to catch a shoot, or you're going to get the ball. You're going to be able to create off the wing, or maybe in that low post, that post area, where you're down by the baseline, do your little turnaround, midi, whatever. But I mean, it's almost like, there's no confusion, and that's what Malcolm X says. No Middleton is less confusion, but they need Middleton. I think you're right. Like, there's less confusion as to who's doing what, because Chris oftentimes will bring the ball up and will initiate offense. Do you see that changing at all when Chris comes back, or do the Bucks come back to the same offense and say, well, yeah, mix it up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I think this is going to be a big test on Doc Rivers. I think he's going to – obviously, when you bring in Chris, you may ramp him up into getting back to game pace, and he may come off the bench, and you may have to kind of keep tabs on what that looks like just early and based off of the early results. And then also, if he does get back into the starting lineup, then you've got to think about, okay, rotations and who's going to be out there and what – specific lineups. You got to kind of look at the numbers here and look at what lineups are the most effective together, because like we've said before, there is a little bit of confusion when those three, at least Giannis, Dame, and Chris, are all on the floor at the same time, because there's only so much scoring to go around, and it feels like, okay, if I don't have it, do I have to make sure I get the ball to Chris Middleton and make sure he gets his and stuff like that? So that's where the confusion comes in. So what I would say is they're going to have to really hone in on this when Chris comes back, and they're going to really have to pay attention to what's working and what's not. Because if you don't and you just get back to the old ways, then you're going to throw off what is a team that is 2-0 right after All-Star break and a team that looks really good offensively. So I think there is some just paying attention to what's efficient and what's working.
Kyle Racine says, how do you view Jamal Murray? Denver really only has Joker and Murray. They won because they were a well-coached, efficient team that played great D. Yes, I agree with that. And I think Jamal Murray he's a big-time player, big-time playmaker. And I've said this before, like there's no excuses for the Milwaukee Bucks because, yeah, you can win. I mean, we've seen teams win with the big two. Like, I don't even know. I don't view what the Bucks had with Giannis. I mean, we know that, yes, it's Giannis, Drew, and Chris. Was that a big three? I mean, it's like a mini three. Like Drew Holiday's gone to Boston and is their fifth option. So like the fact that the Bucks won a title with Drew Holiday is like the third and sometimes second best player, like speaks volumes about what they had. So I think the Bucks kind of did that, right? Like they have shown that you can win with basically one guy running the show and then other guys fitting in where they get in. Yeah, I think Dame and Giannis on the surface should be enough. Like if you had Dame, Giannis, and let's say you didn't have a Chris Middleton, but let's say you had two guys. Chris Middleton makes almost $40 million. Let's say you had two $20 million guys that are like really, really good impact players. Like that to me still could be a title championship contending team. So the fact that Chris Middleton is on this team should really be a plus. And if he's playing well, I mean, yeah, the Bucks are right there. Like they are absolutely right there. But yeah, to your point, Kyle, I do think that you should have enough. If Dame is playing like Dame and Giannis is playing like Giannis, that's 55, 60 points that you should almost be able to bank on. And then 11 Keeks says, how about Middleton operating more with the second unit? Well, I don't know if it's just Chris operating more with the second unit, but I mean, how much can you now have one of those three on the floor at all time? And now when the playoffs start, there's different discussion. But when the playoffs start, to me, and I've said this before with Mike Budenholzer, and two of Giannis, Dame, and it used to be Giannis, Drew, and Dame, and Chris, but two of Giannis, Chris, and Dame need to be on the floor at all times. There's no reason not to. And I think regular season, you should have at least one on the floor at all times if they're all healthy. So I think, yeah, there's some credence to that. And remember, Adrian Griffin used to try to start the fourth quarter off with Chris Middleton. Like the Bucks will have a lead. And it's like, all right, let's see if we can roll through the fourth and let Chris be the primary option until we bring back on Giannis and Dame. But yeah, in the playoffs, those guys need to be on the floor at the same time, at all times. I think, again, you just eliminate a lot of problems because when you roll out a lineup of, like Pat Connaughton, Bobby, Giannis, who else was in Bees and like, Pat, but I don't know. But anyway, you roll up those weird lineups where it's like four bench guys and a starter, you can have some issues like that. And I think the lineup he rolled out was Beverly, Connaughton, Portis, Giannis, and maybe it was Beasley or Crowder was one, but like it just didn't work. But yeah, I think those guys got to play.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that if you get that consistency, like this is something we talked about. The only guy when Dame was struggling that had a consistent body of work was Giannis. But if you start to get these games from Malik Beasley, if you start to get these games from Bobby Portis that, maybe they don't score at the level that they did today, but as long as they're efficient and they're taking the right shots, I think that this team is very dangerous. And regardless of Chris coming back and filling into his role and stuff like that, like, you still have options that can go for 20 and go for 25 on any given night. It's just you want them to shoot it at a more efficient level than what they've shown so far. But I think the options are there. I think the team is there. And, even Pat tonight, Pat did a good job of impacting the game, just cutting. Like that's why we were so active today. It was great. It was great to see.
Absolutely. Let's read some Twitter comments and then do some game balls here. And maybe let you guys out a little early. I feel like a teacher let people out of class a little early here. Sam McAdams Ford says, hope you Griff guys are starting to understand. The eye test is so much better now. We have structure now. When Chris is back, this team will be really effing good. I'm gonna let Chris. What do you think? Saying the eye test is better under Doc Rivers than Adrian Griffin. You agree with that?
Well, at some points, I mean, this is still a guy who has a losing record now, and I mean, obviously, he had to get comfortable with the team, and But I think the most glaring part of it is that the defense just looks way better, and statistically it's been better because they've held 4 teams under 100 points now under Doc instead of just one in 40 games under AG. So I do think there is some merit to that, the fact that they just look better. And like I said, my biggest takeaway from today's game was the fact that they look like a playoff team already. And maybe like not all the way there yet, but I'm just saying with the way that they look today, looked like they could be ready for a playoff series. So yeah, I think they do look better in the eye test.
I don't know if it's the structure so much so that it is the buy-in to the structure.
Yep.
Right? Because I think what happened with Adrian Griffin was you had guys who didn't all the way buy in. And if you don't buy in, it may look a little rough. They have fully bought into Doc Rivers. And so, things, again, like I talked about just a second ago, scheme has nothing to do with whether or not Dame Lillard is going to give you effort. And Dame Lillard tonight gave effort. Like, forget this. I don't care if I was in a zone, the 1-3-1, a 2-3. We're playing man. We're pressing high. Are you switching? Are you going to give 100% to get back? Are you going to do the little things? And I saw Damian Lillard do that. And I'm just talking about Dame. Now, I'm not even talking about what Jay Crowder was doing and some of the other players who did a really good job. So I somewhat agree with structure. But, again, I think it's just that people have bought in 100% all the way. At Giantato Goat says defense has an identity once again. And if this holds as well as Dame playing well, I don't think anybody beats us. At BuckyBacker09 said multiple players could have made one shot on a pass from GA. However, Bobby had the easiest chances and blew them, which cost GA a triple-double. Other than that, no complaints. Solid game all around. At Big Fo Fin 5 says building good habits. At Berean Chomp says slowly but surely this team is routing into form. Keep stacking wins. At 14 Coco Chicks, friend of the show, says eye test is impressed. Keep it going, Bucks. It's not officially playoffs, but it should be playoff mindset starting now. Drew Barringer says feels like the most complete team win of the season so far. And we'll do one more. At Rissi Tan says the biggest difference I saw was playing bigger in less space. The switching and communication down low affected a lot of shots and forced bad shots from distance. More active hands, and seemed to play from inside out. And it worked well today. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of great comments. Coach Jackson says, good game, Bucks. Go Sixers. I think Coach Jackson's a Sixers fan. Kyle, I will give you my thoughts on Dan Morgan as well when we get to our look around. I'll do that in just a second. Let's give out some game balls. Chris, who you giving out your game ball to tonight?
For me, it's very simply Malik Beasley. I mean, just the way that you get 20 points from him on a very efficient night. I didn't think any of his threes were forced, really. I thought he did a good job of knocking down the open ones. And this is what the potential of this team, this is the ceiling of this Bucks team, is if you get 20 points from Malik Beasley on 9 shots. Like, that is ridiculous. 6 of 7 from 3. He's a sniper. There's been some discourse about whether he should be able to stay on the floor if he's not shooting the ball well. But, I mean, just the potential of having a guy like that who can give you 20 on 9 shots is amazing. It's good to see. And hopefully when we get to the playoffs, let's hope that those percentages stay up there. I mean, obviously you're not going to shoot 6 or 7 every night, but we've seen people drop off with the Bucks when they get to the playoffs, and hopefully Malik Beasley is not one of those guys. I don't think he is, so he's got to prove me right.
Chris, I need you to. We're about 30. Let's check. We're about 37 minutes into the show. Okay, So I want you to get to this moment and make sure you clip this for me because I gotta put this out here. My game ball tonight. For all the Dame stands who've been crying in my mentions and they were crying today. My game ball tonight, and I believe for the second night in a row, goes to Damian Lillard. 24, 9, 7, 2 assists, 8 of 15, 4 of 8 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, a plus 37. That's what I'm talking about. And again, from me, when you play well, you receive praise. When you don't, you get criticism. It's an easy concept to understand. Like, you can't tell me you've watched Damian Lillard in the last 6 quarters of basketball. The last 6 quarters of basketball, Damian Lillard has played and told me that's not a completely different person from what you've seen for most of the last 50-plus games. Like, he played like a different guy. And again, we've talked about this before. I'm looking right in the camera. Don't tell me. Well, he creates space, and so that's what makes him. Nobody traded half the damn farm and team and leverage future and let Drew Holiday go to the freaking Boston Celtics so that he could create space for other guys. That's not what you brought him for. You brought him in here to throw up 24, 9 and 7, 2 steals, shooting 50% from the field and 50% from three on a consistent basis. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets. I was standing in the living room clapping today watching the basketball game. Thank you, Damian Lillard. And no, so I'm not. When you and people get this so confused and so wrong, where it's like you have to. Well, if you're just supportive, I'm not his daddy. I'm not his family. I don't gotta be. If you just support him right through all his struggles, you just have to stay with. No, I don't. I don't know who told you guys that. Who told you I've never spoken to Damian Lillard in my life. I never will. I don't know this guy. I'm evaluating what you do on the basketball floor. That's it. That's all. Whether you play well or whether you do not, I'm going to judge you appropriately. So tonight or this afternoon and the game before, Damian Lillard balled out. When you ball out, you get the game ball. Damian Lillard gets my game ball tonight. That's all. So I just had to point that out there because people are like I really don't understand. It's like you're acting like Skip Bayless. I never said that Damian Lillard sucked. I never said he was trash. I never said, the Bucks messed up trading for him. I've seen people say that the Bucks need to trade Damian Lillard. I've never said anything like that. I've always hoped that he's going to play well. But what I'm not going to do is fake like, I got to be positive and act like he's playing better. No, if he's stinking it up, I say he's stinking it up. You playing well, you playing well. Like, I think people are like, got this feeling that if you don't say that somebody's always playing well, that means you hate them. No, that doesn't. That's not how this thing goes. So anyway, I just had to get that out there. Good job, Damian Lillard, and the Bucks got the win, and I'm happy. And that's the other thing. I'm not. One more thing. Coach Jack says, "Get that man some water." Well, how much will I get the last drop of this Stella Rosa? Hold on. So give him my energy to push through for this last second here. I'm not like the Adrian Griffin haters who wanted the team to fail. There's so many Adrian. I want the Bucks to lose, and I want their defense to give up 180 points so they fire. No, I don't want Damian Lillard not to play well just so I can go, oh man, here we go again. I want Damian Lillard to give me 50 every night. I want Damian Lillard to push Giannis for an MVP with the Bucks in the finals. Or what they got this new Eastern Conference MVP trophy. I want Damian Lillard to be right there and me to be like, man, I don't know who should get the MVP. I want them to be battling 40 and 40 every night. Like, oh my God, this duo is crazy. That's what I want. That's what I thought we signed up for. And that's what he gave me tonight. So that's all I'm saying. I like Damian Lillard, and I hope that he plays like this. It's just when one more story. So I call, I have a group chat with my wife and my mother-in-law, her mom, and it's called the Return Queens. Okay, you know why I call them Return Queen? Because they return everything. They buy a glass, got a little nick. Oh, I gotta return it. They return anything they buy, they return it. And so what I'm saying, when we buy Damian Lillard, when I bought into Damian Lillard stock, I don't want half of Damian Lillard. I don't go in there. I don't want the guy who is just a space. I want the guy that was in Portland that was putting up that. What he put? Didn't he have a 70-point game before? Like that. I want that guy. That's the guy I'm asking for. That's the guy I bought. That's the guy I bought. That's the guy I want. So, Damian Lillard. Anyway, sorry. That's all.
It is Sunday, right? You got that Southern the church preacher guy. Yeah, that's what you are right now. Like I'm just listening. I'm here to listen. No, I think a lot of people get constructive criticism mixed up with blame. Like, we're not blaming Damian Lillard. We're not necessarily. I mean, some of the struggles maybe, but like. You can watch games as a fan and just expect more from the guy that you're paying all this money, the guy that you went out and traded to get, the guy that is a top 75 player elsewhere in his career. So, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong for expecting more out of him. And I think us as fans and us on this show, we can point out when things aren't going the best, but we can also recognize when Dame is hooping. And these past couple of games, and hopefully for the second half of the season, he's going to continue that.
Absolutely. That's again. I that's what I want. I want to see that continue. I want to see Damian Lillard play like this throughout the rest of the season. That's all we're asking for. John Hassel, talk about a guy who John Hassel I just first to say show some respect to my Malik Beasley tonight, sir. Give Beasley some respect. So John Hassel says, I've been consistent. It's never been about Dame or Giannis. You always only question the others. I don't know about that. I don't know. I think I'm always. I think we pretty much. Well, I guess I think I've always been on. It's never been to me. No, it is about Dame Giannis. Those are the guys who run the team. Dame Lillard again, and that's my whole thing about Dame Lillard is he can cover up the stink of some other players. That's the thing about Giannis. Like Giannis covered like that. Giannis. There's no way you would have thought that Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton, again, as good as they all are, that's not a team you just put together. That's not the first team you put together. Oh yeah, let's get a win a championship with that. Like those aren't the group of guys. Giannis just covers up the stink of a lot of players, and that's how good I think Damian Lillard is. Is I think he can cover up the stink of a lot of bad, and I'm sorry, but that's the expectation he created for himself. Important. So I'm sorry that you were so good that we expected you to play like that. And again, tonight he did a great job. So that's what I got. Coach Jackson says, I said before it was good for you guys to have those issues to correct them late. So whatever the Bucks have gone through will benefit later in the season. But love your point. Yeah, no, I agree with that too. We've talked about that before. That it's a great point, Coach Jackson. Mike Budenholzer did not get fired for what he did in the regular season. Mm-hmm. He was not fired because they won a bunch of and under Mike Budenholzer, they've been dominant regular season basketball teams. So I think, to your point, I think you're absolutely correct that the Bucks have had some problems and some struggles that hopefully they will think about. And hey, we can't play defense like this. We've got to be focused, because if you're not focused and you're not energized, that's how you lose to Memphis. That's how you lose to Utah. That's how Detroit is playing basketball games with you, down to the wire. And if you want those games where, you ain't got to worry about winning in the clutch, this is how you go out and take care of business. Because this is a game early in the season, no Embiid, where the Bucks probably would have struggled. I'm not saying they wouldn't have won the basketball game, but a game where they could have struggled.
And this is where we wanted the Bucks to look at its best is right after All-Star break, but also just continuing that and to be playing their best ball into the playoffs. And so hopefully that's what we get from them, because I think under the Budenholzer years, I think it created a lot of false expectations for our regular season in this particular season, because you did make so many moves. You did make one of the biggest moves in some years now, and I think that it created this narrative that, okay, regardless, you're bringing in these new guys and you should still be beating these bad teams by a lot, which is just some nights in the association just not going to happen. But we do recognize that you can be playing your best ball going forward, and that's hopefully what we're seeing the start of.
Alpha Rucamino says, no, I've been watching all season. Dame has been at the front of criticism, and rightfully so. Let's overcome the adversity and ball in the playoffs. Yeah, right. Like I said, rightfully so. And then John House says, we'll see if this is Beasley's coming out party. I mean, John, the guy is like, what is this? I think he's like 6 in 3-point percentage for the year. He's made a ton of threes. I mean,
he's gonna make a lot of money elsewhere next year. Unless we can pay him. I don't know.
I'll say this about Beasley, and again, go get your money, and I hope you do. But this Malcolm Brogdon has never been as good as he was when he was in Milwaukee. Again, Giannis. I've heard people say that, and especially when Dame was struggling, that Giannis doesn't make guys better. Bull. Like there are so many shooters who benefit from playing with Giannis. Now Grayson out, another example. Grayson out. Now he's playing well with Phoenix again. He's playing with premier players alongside of him. But those are the type of guys where you put Grayson in Utah, wherever he's at, and he's okay. I think wasn't he in Utah prior? He's okay, but it's not the same when you play with the gravity of a Giannis. And then, like you said, Malik Beasley's the reason Malik Beasley's having a great of a season shooting as he had, because remember, he was playing with the Lakers and he wasn't shooting like this. So the reason he's having such a great season is because he's playing with the gravity of Giannis, playing with the gravity of Dame, even Chris Middleton, and you're now a third or fourth. Teams have to pick their poison. Am I going to try to sell out to stop Giannis? Am I going to try to sell to stop Dame? Maybe I'm going to try that. You can't guard everybody. You got Malik Beasley sitting there for 3. He's getting open looks. You go somewhere else, try and go get paid in Indiana, or you try to go get paid in New Orleans. The looks are not going to come like that. So, again, the Bucks obviously he's got to get more money to make it now. But if you want to be smart and recognize why you're getting the shots that you're getting. Let's look around the league here. Only one game on right now. Suns up 9 on the Lakers. They were down the Suns were up 20 early in this game. They have now pushed up to a 9-point lead Mavericks and Pacers are about to start in about 30 minutes here. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, first off, Chris, have you seen the Giannis documentary?
I did watch that.
You watched
Yes, I
it?
did.
What'd you think?
It was on Prime, right?
Yep.
I thought it was a great documentary, and it kind of just showed, like, it just makes you appreciate him even more. I'm glad that this came out right now, than after he's done playing, because it just kind of puts everything into perspective, like what he's been through, and just the journey and how much he wants it. I think is some of the most important takeaways of that, and just how tight knit of a family they have, newfound respect for all the members of the Antetokounmpo family. Like, it was a great, heartwarming documentary, and I think that it's not finished. I really don't think it's finished.
Listen, I agree. I think that's a great point you make. Giving people getting their flowers while it's still here to get them. And yeah, it was a great documentary. I thought it was better because I think some criticism maybe that it's kind of similar to the story that people have heard before. They did the Disney movie, but I thought this was better than the Disney movie, or at least just gave a different perspective, because Disney movie kind of kept it PG, whereas this movie was a little more real, a little more intimate, without having actors. You got Giannis, in your face talking about, some of the things that he went through. The Nas is there as well. So yeah, I thought it was really well done, really well put together. And I think you're right. Hopefully this is just the first half in what we've seen from Giannis, and maybe there are a couple more chips later to go. And maybe you're seeing, again, I don't know what the future holds for Giannis and what he's done or what he will do. But again, he's a great player, and I think he's almost pushing 30 now. He's got some more left in him, and hopefully, what you don't want is just to be like, the Wisconsin thing where Aaron Rodgers only won one championship, and it was like you knew he was better, or that team that the Green Bay Packers should have won more than one Super Bowl in the Aaron Rodgers era. That's not, you don't want to be looking back again. Are you going to appreciate the championship? Absolutely. But you don't want to be looking back like, man, what if we really should have got at least two? And I think that's where you are with the Bucks. And I was talking about doing it the right way. So I don't know.
Some other things I thought were kind of cool is the fact that I didn't know he had all those cuss words in his repertoire. I didn't know he had all the American slang in his repertoire as much as he did, which is cool. And then Trey, would you think this is does you think this sets a bad example to bring a girl to meet your family the first time you hang out with her?
That was funny.
I don't know.
I noticed that too. That was a crazy. But I think some of that. And again, he has become more Americanized as as years have gone on. But I thought that was like a very and maybe that's something that they did. Very close knit family. That's the only thing I could think is. That was it. That I agree. That was the interest, because I was like, listen, I was like, is he really saying that's the first time they hung out, was on a trip with the fam? That's crazy work. That's crazy work, GA. But hey, listen, man, it worked out for him, and good to see. Beautiful family that he has. He's always with his kids. They saw him at All-Star Weekend, playing around the court. So again, that's all good stuff. One more thing I wanted to ask you about. Did you see the Pelicans Heat fight the other night?
Yes, I did.
The suspensions have come out. Jimmy Butler, Najee Marshall have both been suspended 1 game each. And then Jose Alvarado was suspended for 1 game for leaving the bench area. I thought that was odd that he was only got suspended, because I'm very sure Tyler Hero was not in the game and he was over there as well. But I'll let that go. But what'd you think when you saw that fight and kind of how that all went down?
Well, so I think the biggest story was the fact that I didn't see this off of the second angle came out from the stands, where Jose Alvarado two-piece Thomas Bryant in the face. Like, that was savage. That was dope, because he's a little guy, and it's funny to just have him out there fighting Thomas Bryant, who's like a 6'11" power forward. But that's hilarious. And then also that angle, I don't know if you've seen it. It shows the fan throw whatever he threw on the court, which is outrageous. What are we doing as a fan? Like, are you that emotionally connected to the team where you feel like you have to help your guys in a fight and throw something at the opposition? I mean, that's a diehard fan right there, I guess. So that was funny. But yeah, I mean, it's a little childish, the fact that I don't even know if that's even where did that come from? I don't know what that even stems from. But for, I guess, people got to have their teammates' backs and stuff like that. And so, it is what it is. It's very dramatized, the NBA, I think. So they do what they do to put on a show. What I didn't like was Jimmy Butler talking about, oh, it starts now or whatever. This thing starts now, and it's just like, dude, how about you win a finals before you do that talking? Like we get it. You can get there. We get it, but you can't close. So he's a little over. Like head over his heels for himself. He's a little too confident.
That's the Jimmy Butler special. Like that is who he is. And Ian, I will say this about him. Even though I think it's kind of whack how he plays and not only just play, but just the fact that he only. I think it's convenient when you go, oh, I only play in the playoffs, and like you mail it in and pack it in all regular season. Like it almost gives you, like for whatever reason, the Heat have like earned this pass for the regular season of we don't care, so they don't have any expectations. Like the year they got swept by the Bucks and the Bucks won, that was I think 2021. Like nobody said anything because it was like, oh, it's fine. But like the Heat are a very weird organization where they want all the credit for going to the finals and all these runs and look at us, look at us, look at us. But when they fail, it's like, well, we weren't that good anyway. Like it's just Jimmy Butler. Like no, you got to pick a side. Either you were that good and culture runs everything. So if you fail, you should be held to the same. You should be looked at in the same way. Like they want to be looked at as one of the most dominant teams in the East because I think they've been to the conference finals like the last 3 years in a row, if I'm not correct. Like no, except for 21. Yeah, I think they went 22 and 23, and then 2020 the bubble they went. So 3 out of the last 4 years they've been to at the very least the conference finals and 2 finals appearances. They want the credit of look how good we are, look how great we've been. This is our East. We run it. Nobody else has the success that we have. And yet they lose in the first round. It's crickets. Bucks lose in the first round. It's, oh my God, how does Giannis not see the season as a failure? So I think this is going to be a very telling season for Miami. But yeah, that is Jimmy Butler to a T. He gets this benefit of the doubt to where he just doesn't feel like playing. Then now all of a sudden we get into a fight. Yeah, now the season started. Now, all right, Jimmy. That's how they go.
Okay, Kevin Love had a hard foul, and they'll kind of explain that and justify that by it being Heat culture. Like it's stuff like that. Like Kevin Love's, I don't know, man. He got to Miami and he just became a lot more unlikable. I feel like, especially with I felt like what he did to Giannis last year too. That was kind of weird. So
well, and that's what they do. Kyle Lowry had a fight like that tonight, where it's like and I think it got called on Bobby Portis, but it's like I'm 6 feet tall. I'm gonna run up under a 6'10" guy and then hold my face. And that's what Kevin Love does, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you just got to be so careful because especially in the playoffs. And that's why I get so concerned for Giannis because again, he is a high flyer. He's trying to jump up over guys, and that's how, especially in the playoffs, they feel like that's the only way to defend him is to try to draw a charge. And I'm going to jump under him and roll up under him. And again, you just got to watch your feet, your legs, and all of that stuff. Some final comments here. At Saint and Freak says Dame plays like Dame. We're walking to the NBA Finals. At Kane is back 4 times. Says looking better since the break. Dame has been better in defense. At Slim Reaper Money says loved it. At Dame Giannis says let's keep building. I can tell it's coming. The urgency, I'm loving it. And at Chris Wagner 87 says finally we're looking good. Can't wait to add Middleton back into the mix. The Bucks win it, Chris, 119-98 over the Philadelphia 76ers. Any final words as we talk about this victory here the Bucks took?
Yeah, do you want to touch on Dan Morgan real quick for Kyle?
Oh, my bad. Dan Morgan. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, Kyle, Dan Morgan. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of the Dan Morgan stuff only because he was part of the old regime, right? Like he was in with Scott Fitterer and those guys. And so I really wanted a total break from anybody that was associated with David Tepper and all that whole front office. But again, I love Dan Morgan as a player. Really one of those hard-nosed guys, got a lot of concussions. I think he retired early because of concussions. He was like, he couldn't cover. He wasn't as fast side to side as Luke Kuechly, but I mean, you talk about a hard-nosed middle linebacker who got his career cut short because he was a freaking headhunter. Dan Morgan's one of those guys. Like I grew up on Dan Morgan. But like I said, we're gonna see. I do like for Kyle. I do like the addition, the guy they brought in from the Chiefs, who's like the cap guy. Can't remember his name, but they brought in a cap guy from the Chiefs because the NFL salary cap is a joke. Like Like you're all able. I mean, everything is you're just moving money and people are restructuring contracts. Like it's so weird. So I mean, if you know how to do that, and we're gonna make this a bonus instead of the numbers are all fake in the NFL. You can always kind of manipulate them, and then but again, the Bucks have like Pens have like $40 million in salary cap. I'd love to see the Pens go out. We'll see what Dan Morgan does. Go out and get my dog Bryce a wide receiver. And we'll see what happens. Man, I love to see Stephon Diggs in Carolina. So
that'd be sick if they can get a receiver and they need an O-line too. But yeah, so I think for the Bucks, I'm just so happy that they've been able to come out of All-Star break playing inspired basketball, giving their best effort. Scrappy team it's looking like right now, making teams work for buckets, and Dame is back to or getting there to what we want him to be. So just top to bottom, it was great tonight, and we got to keep it rolling. Look, we always talk about how big these momentum games are. They won a second one in a row after a big win versus the Timberwolves. So let's keep it rolling. Let's leave no doubt in the next 2 games versus the Hornets, and then you could be looking at a team that's winning 9 of its last 10 of its last 10 game wins, big win streak, stuff like that, cementing itself as a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I think I'm very excited to just keep this thing rolling and keep giving that good post game vibes, the win vibes.
Bucks Hornets on Tuesday and Thursday, respectively, for next week, and then the Chicago Bulls on Friday. Again, it'd be really nice if you could roll off 5 consecutive wins. And again, that'd be post All-Star break. That'd be great. I'll be at the Bucks Hornets game, so we'll see. I don't know if I'll be doing a post game show Thursday night against the Hornets, but we'll see.
It'll be Chris King debut as the host of the Cream City crossover. I like that. Idea. We get some experience out here. I love it. I've been doing it for the Dayton Flyers post game shows. Now let's test the knowledge here for the Bucks. I think I got it. Me and JT will bring you something.
I love it. The show must go on. Good stuff there. Colin Racine says you guys are the best. He says, when's the Charlotte City crossover? Yeah, maybe do something.
Isn't it Queen City?
Maybe the Queen
City crossover.
City, absolutely. That Cream City. That's a good one there. Omar_Bucks says second win in a row. Can I get a shout out? Yeah, shout out to Omar_Bucks, and shout out to everybody who may be who wants to subscribe to the show. Again, we appreciate everybody. All right, get my last thoughts on the Bucks. Again, go ahead and get these wins. Let's rack them up and do what we do. Again, great performance, top to bottom. As Chris King said, let's keep the wins going. I like being excited and happy about the post games instead of complaining every night. And then Omar_Bucks says, love your channel. Again, we appreciate it. Again, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate it. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Cream City crossover. We can keep giving you this good content like we do after every Milwaukee Bucks game. 119-98, the Bucks win it. We want to thank our sponsors, the law office of Daily M. Johnson. Hey, man, go out and celebrate this win. I know it's a Sunday afternoon, so you only get too out on your Monday. But if you do, call the law office of Daily M. Johnson if you have some problems. 608-893-8370. He'll help you out with all of your criminal defense needs. This has been a Cream City Media Group production. Bucks win it 119-98. Don't take no wood nickels.